Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
And all I have to say is thank freaking God. Thank freaking God for Ryan Stanek, and thank freaking God for Pete Alonso from saving me from a day of absolute sports torture. This was gearing up to be potentially one of the worst sports days in my personal life. I'll fill you in. It starts with the Jets getting demolished so badly by the Buffalo Bills that they actually decide that this game is so, literally the words they use, uncompetitive, that they switch it off to another game. All right, kind of expected. It's the Jets, right? I'm losing in both of my freaking fantasy football leagues, and the Mets are just doing what they've been doing lately, just scratching across a couple of hits. They get a run on a Juan Soto ground out that Francisco Alvarez just barely gets his hand in under the tag at home to make it 1-0. Nolan McLean is dealing just like Brandon Sproat did yesterday. Nimmo hits a home run to make it 2-0 as they enter the seventh inning, but that's it for McLean, for McLean, just like yesterday it was for Sproat. And this game was starting to look like a carbon copy of yesterday. As the Mets go to the bullpen in the seventh, Brooks Raley gives up a leadoff hit, but does well to get the next two outs there. But then hits the left-handed batter to put it first and second with two outs. And Carlos Mendoza decides to go to Reed Garrett to get a righty-righty matchup. A decision that, honestly, I really didn't agree with because Reed Garrett has been piss poor pretty much since June. Let's be honest about it. And Reed Garrett, despite having an 0-2 count, goes all the way backwards to walk the bases loaded. And then it's Jock Peterson who is hitting under the Mendoza line with a 2-run game-tying single. Edwin Diaz comes in the ninth. Runner at third with one out. He induces a line drive double play. And somehow the Mets get out of it, but they can't do anything in the bottom of the ninth as they are retired in order very swiftly by the reliever Garcia for the Rangers. So we go to the 10th. Of course, the ghost runner at second with Ryan Stanek pitching, and we're all thinking, there is no way in hell this guy's getting out of this inning without giving up at least 2 runs, right? And we were all thankfully wrong. Stanek gets the strikeout. He ends up walking Jock Peterson to make it first and second, but able to get another fly out and then able to get Rowdy Tellez to end that inning scoreless. And then after intentionally walking Juan Soto to make it first and second and nobody out to begin the bottom of the 10th in a tie game, Pete Alonso launches a 3-run homer to right field, and it is over. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mets have snapped this, as Gary Cohen put it, insidious 8-game losing streak. It is over. Finally, I think the Mets just needed to see one at this point. I know I, as a fan, just needed to see a win at this point because I was starting to believe it was never going to happen again. And it's only one game, and there was a lot of work to be done. But fortunately, the Mets are able to come back and win this game here today. And at least for today, I will be happy. We will see what Tuesday and the rest of this season brings. Guys, what's up? I'm Tony Metro. Welcome to the stream. Daily Mets content here on my channel. Post-game recap after every Mets game. Be sure to subscribe if you are not already. Go ahead, leave this video a like if you have not done so. You can also follow me on all the other platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Links to all of those are in the description below. Let's go to the chat. Stefan, what's up? He says LGM still losing 2 out of 3, but a good win. Yeah, well, chance to win yesterday, obviously. Probably should have won that game. And like I said, this was looking like an exact carbon copy of Saturday's game where the Mets have the 2-run lead late into the game. The relievers can't do anything to hold it, and the lineup really didn't produce a whole lot in this game either, but somehow the Mets end up being on the good side of today's result as opposed to how yesterday went. So good win. We'll take it. Still sucks to lose 2 out of 3, but finally they snapped this 8-game losing streak that just felt like it was never going to come to an end. John rested. Maybe this can turn it around. I need to see a lot more before I believe that, especially because the Mets are welcoming in a not red hot Padres team, but a Padres team that beat the snot out of us in San Diego back in early August. So I am not ready to say that they are going to turn it around now. I am happy they got this win, but that's all it is one win. Obviously helps with the wild card standings. The Giants and the Reds are both in action right now. The Giants are trailing the Dodgers 2-1 early in that game, and Cincinnati is leading Athletics 3-0 early in that game as well. So we will see what happens, but as it stands at the moment, they have a game lead on the Giants, and it should be a 2-game lead on the Reds. Obviously, we could see that flip half a game in either direction depending on the results of those, but I am not ready to say this is going to just launch them into a crazy hot winning streak, but I am just happy that they could finally put the losing streak to bed. Edward Christian Aquin, if I have a penny each time Alonso saves the season with an opposite home run, I'll have 2 pennies, which is weird. So 2 times, obviously the one you're referring to was the game-winning homer in Milwaukee last year in Game 3 of that wild card series. But yeah, nice of Pete to come through there. I mean, Pete has not been great lately. We've been talking about it, guys. You know, I think it was his first home run in 40 at-bats, something like that. So Pete's been wearing a little bit. Had an opportunity there, first and second. I believe that was in the 7th inning with 2 outs, and he hit a little duck fart into shallow right field along the line that Garcia was able to make a nice sliding catch on. And that was an opportunity that I thought the Mets bypassed, that they couldn't take advantage of, and was going to potentially come back to bite them in the ass later on. But fortunately, Pete doesn't waste any time. I'm going to be honest, guys. I even tweeted when they intentionally walked Juan Soto, obviously Lindor at second. I tweeted, I don't care that he's Pete Alonso. You bunt him here. This is a must win. I will take my shot with the next 2 batters coming up, which would have been Brandon Nimmo and then Mark Vientos, the 4-5 in the lineup today, getting you a base hit or a sacrifice fly, putting the ball in play. I would have played those odds, but Pete Alonso obviously says game as he hits the 3-run homer. So glad he didn't bunt there. I guess I would have been wrong, but glad the Mets end up getting this win. Stefan says they pulled Manaea for Tuesday's game. Holmes pitching now. So yeah, that was some news that we got here today. The Mets are going to have Clay Holmes start on Tuesday against the Padres, and then they are planning to have Sean Manaea piggyback off of him in the bullpen. And that is something that I have talked about for a long time, especially with Sean Manaea, just because of how much he has struggled. He hasn't been able to go deep into games, obviously, hasn't been able to do a whole lot, since coming back from the injured list, but he has been pretty good in short spurts. So a lot of us have been saying, hey, maybe that's the best way to get some effective innings out of Sean Manaea, is to have him piggyback off of somebody in the bullpen. But I do think it's the right idea. I said the same thing about Clay Holmes, but instead they're going to go the opposite way, have Holmes start the game and have Manaea come out of the pen and piggy off. So we'll see what happens. But Jay Sino, you guys still suck, by the way. Wow, Jay. Very good. You must have a very smooth brain. Not a lot of wrinkles on there, huh? Absol, a Band-Aid over a huge wound. Nothing will change this team unless changes are made. Absolutely, Absol. I mean, look, there is a ton of work to be done. The Mets need to continue to win games now. I mean, this is one game. Great. It's happy. We're all happy, jumping up and down because it's a walk-off win from Pete Alonso. But at the end of the day, it's only one win. And they very nearly squander another great pitching performance from one of the rookies. Yesterday, it's Sproat giving you 6 scoreless innings. Today, and even more 6 scoreless from Nolan McLean, and the Mets still nearly squander it from the bullpen, from the lineup, entering the 7th inning with only 3 hits in this game, entering the 7th inning for this Mets lineup. But fortunately, Pete able to bail them out with the home run in extras. So look, it's one win. Obviously, we could be happy about it here. Tomorrow is a much needed off day, not just for the team, but I think for us as fans as well, for our emotional well-being. And we'll see what happens. It's a tough series coming up with San Diego. They really gave us a hard time out in on the West Coast a couple of months ago. So it doesn't get much easier from here. After that, they round out the home schedule with 3 against the Nationals. We know the Nationals have played us really tough all season long. We'll see what happens here with San Diego. I'm going to go on record just right now, though, and say that I don't care that DC has given us a tough time this year. You have to sweep that series against the Nats. You have to, because after that, you have 6 games left, all on the road, 3 against the Cubbies in Wrigley Field. Obviously, the Cubs leading the National League wild card. I know the Mets won 2 out of 3 against them back in May. That's not going to be easy. And then they finished the season against the Marlins out in Miami. And hey, we all know how the Mets play the Marlins, and we all know how things go when the Mets finish their season against the Marlins historically. So the Mets have to take advantage of that series against the Nationals. And honestly, they got to win 2 out of 3 now at minimum against the Padres. And I don't say that as if it should be easy, but that's just the situation that the Mets have put themselves in. So update on the Oakland game, Sacramento, whatever they call the Athletics, inched a little bit closer. They just got a home run from somebody named Thomas. I don't know who that is, but it is a 3-2 game out in West Sacramento. The Reds still leading that one. And then the Giants, I believe, are still trailing the Dodgers. So hopefully the Mets will be able to gain a game on both of those teams, but at the very worst, they will finish today still in the final wild card spot in the National League. So happy about that. But absolutely, you're 100% right, man. A Band-Aid over a huge wound. I mean, the Mets have put themselves in a precarious situation where they cannot afford to lose anymore. Never mind series. They can literally not afford to lose any games anymore. And obviously that's impossible. They're going to lose games, especially the way that they've been playing. Even if they turn it around, you're bound to lose games. But the Mets have no choice but to rack up as many W's as they can here down the stretch. There are only 12 games remaining now, 4 series left. Padres, the Cubs, the Nationals, and the Marlins. In my estimation, the Mets need to win at least 8 of those games. Go 8-4 in the final 12 games of this season. I believe that would then put them at 85 wins for the year. I said they needed to reach 86 to be the 3rd wild card spot in the National League. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully this jumpstarts them. But again, I am not going to sit here and say season's back on. They're going to the playoffs. We're making a run, but we'll just see what happens from here. Edward Christian Aquin, everything that should have happened yesterday happened today. Good second play from Lindor. Bullpen stumbled but clutched it in the end, and Pete came through. Also, you deleted it. I don't know what happened, Edward. Why did you delete that? Yeah, no, you're right, though, from what I read from your comment. And by the way, obviously everyone's going to give a lot of credit to Pete Alonso there, but game ball, for me, 100% goes to Ryan Stanek. Ryan freaking Stanek coming in and closing down the 10th inning, not giving up a run. That was clutch. Ryan Stanek, who has had his struggles, who obviously anytime we see him coming out from the bullpen, we just roll our eyes, can't believe this is happening, and it's going to be an ugly inning. But Stanek able to get, I believe it was the leadoff fly out, the runner advanced to third. Then he issued a walk to Peterson to make it 1st and 3rd. And then I think it was a fly. No, I think it was a strikeout. And then I don't even remember how that inning went. I was like blacking out based on how raging I was about sports today between the Mets, the Jets, all of the NFL, my fantasy football teams. But Stanek with a clutch inning there by getting out of it unscathed, doesn't give up a run. And from there, you feel pretty good about the Mets' chances, especially with Soto and Alonso coming up to the plate. Obviously, they intentionally walk Soto. Pete hits the bomb. But to get a scoreless inning there when you have the ghost runner on second in this new era of extra inning baseball in Major League Baseball, I mean, what a job from him. What a performance. And, I think it swung the momentum that the Mets haven't seemingly had in weeks. So credit to Ryan Stanek. For me, he's the player of the game. He gets the game ball. And if they do turn this thing around, you can pinpoint it right there in that top of the 10th inning where Stanek was just so clutch. I think a lot of people are out watching football here today, and I don't blame you because the Mets have been a freaking bore to watch, no doubt about it. I'm going to go back to it soon, so we'll probably keep this a short and quick stream. But guys, go ahead and leave this video a like and let me know how you feeling about the Mets right now. They're currently a game up on San Francisco. They are 2 games up on Cincinnati. That could go a half a game in either direction depending on the result of both of their games that are currently in action right now. But let me know in the comment section, do you think that they are going to make the playoffs? I can't change course now just because they got a win here today. I said it about earlier this week, probably after, I think it would have been Friday's game. I don't believe they are going to make the playoffs. I'm sorry. I think the schedule is just up against them. 2 teams still competing for playoff positioning with the Padres and with the Cubbies. They have not played well against the Nats. They have not played well against the Marlins this year. And so unfortunately, I don't think this is going to change things, but I hope they prove me wrong. I hope they prove me wrong, and I will be watching to the end and streaming to the end. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comment section. Do you think the Mets are making the playoffs here in 2025? And be sure to leave the video a like. Thanks, Edward, Christian, Aquan. Plus, we have a tougher schedule than San Fran in the next game, so we should really win some series from now on. Nats and Finns are winnable, and let's hope ST and the Cubs won't sweep us. I mean, we need to be hoping to win every series from here on out. To win 2 out of 3 versus San Diego. Win 2 out of 3 versus the Cubs. I mean, I think those are both doable if the Mets are playing their best baseball, which unfortunately we just haven't seen a whole lot of lately. So I don't know if we're going to get that or not. Then you have the Nats, who the Mets have swept twice at Citi Field this year, but have played very poorly against in Washington, D.C. And then, of course, the Marlins, who always seem to find a way to be a thorn in our side, obviously losing 3 out of 4 to them after coming off the sweep of the Phillies at Citi Field. So the Marlins always just seem to be on the schedule at the wrong time for us. I love this from Mark Rapp because I was just about to say it myself. The Phillies could have clinched the National League East today, either with a Mets loss or if they simply won against the Royals. They lost, the Mets won. So the NL East is still ours for the taking, ladies and gentlemen. Don't count the Mets out yet, ladies and gentlemen. The NL East is still alive. We could see it. It's right in front of us. Just to quote Aaron Boone, we still got a shot at the division, Mark. I was just about to say that because I saw the Philly score ticker at the bottom of the SNY screen. So, yeah, obviously that is not happening. But if the Mets do get some help today from Los Angeles and from Oakland or West Sacramento, whatever the Athletics are called these days, and beat the Reds and the Giants, it would be a very positive day. It would be a very positive 36 hours, despite how ugly yesterday's game was, obviously, because the Giants and the Reds did lose yesterday. So while it was a missed opportunity because the Mets couldn't get the win yesterday and what should have been in the bag when you have that 2-0 lead late in that game, they did benefit from the other two teams that are chasing them by losing. So good news there for sure. Absol says, I always said it, they'll go 6-10 in their last 16 games. Sorry, Tony, I have no faith in this team. I don't think they will make the playoffs. I mean, absolutely, you don't need to apologize, man, because I just said it myself. I feel the exact same way. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, and I don't want to be a negative Nelly. I don't want to bum people out, but I'm going to call it how I see it. And the truth is that they have looked like absolute crap. And even in today's win, it didn't look very good. I mean, they were 0 for, I think, 7 with runners in scoring position until Pete hit that home run. So it's not exactly like they put on a clinic here despite putting up 5 runs. 3 of them come on the walk-off homer. They obviously cough up the late lead just like they did yesterday when you went to what you thought were going to be some of your more trusted arms in the back end of the bullpen. Rayleigh can't finish the 7th. You go to Reed Garrett, which, by the way, can we have a discussion about I'm done with Reed Garrett. I am done with Reed Garrett and the inherited runners. It worked very well for the first 2 months of this season. It was terrible in June and July, most of July at least. The last good appearance that Reed Garrett truly had, at least off the cuff of my memory right here, is when he was able to get the 6-out save against the Yankees on the 4th of July. Outside of that, Reed Garrett has been a brutal watch. And yes, early in the year, he was able to come in and strand inherited runners. That has just simply not been the case lately, as again, he comes in, he starts with an 0-2 count, first and second. He ends up walking that batter to load the bases, and then it's Jock Peterson, despite having an average under 200 this year, coming through with the 2-run game-tying double. So I have seen enough of Garrett in those spots. I think the Mets really need to start putting him out there in clean innings. And then you could go to maybe Brooks Raley in those spots, because Raley really has been just fine against righties. This was another case of over-managing from Carlos Mendoza, in my opinion, just like yesterday when he went to Edwin Diaz with 2 outs in the 8th for the 4-out save. I thought that was doing too much. I thought it was extra, and it came back to bite the Mets in the ass. So fortunately today, the Mets are able to bail Mendy out, but didn't love some of the decisions from the Mets manager. Another one that, again, doesn't really matter because no one got a hit in that spot anyway, but not pinch running for Francisco Alvarez there in the 7th inning. He had a 1-out single. Then he gets to second on Francisco Lindor's base hit, first and second, 1 out. Soto ended up popping up, but I mean, you probably should have pinch ran Francisco Alvarez there. And I know you're not playing for just one run and you might need Alvarez's bat later in the game, but the way this team has been strapped for runs, the way that this team is just so desperately in need of a W, I would have had a pinch runner out there for Francisco Alvarez. Again, it doesn't come back to bite the Mets, but these are some of the little things that, we need to keep tabs on as far as Carlos Mendoza's managing style and make sure that he's held accountable if we decide at the end of the year or next season that he might not be the guy for the job. Obviously, you could also look at the decision yesterday. He says he pulled Brandon Sproat before the 7th inning despite only 70 or 75 pitches because they saw a dip in velocity. Okay, well, if that's the case, then I understand, but look what ended up happening. You needed 3 scoreless innings out of your bullpen. They didn't get it. The Mets lose a heartbreaker yesterday for their 8th straight loss. So Mendy, not perfect, that's for sure. Got a little bailed out by his team here today, fortunately, especially Pete Alonso. Stefan says they don't deserve that last wild card ticket. Let it collapse, otherwise the management can sugarcoat everything. They need to shake things up in 26. I will say this, though, Stefan. This is not, I don't believe that is what Steve Cohen and David Stearns will do. I don't. I'm sorry. So Stefan's a relatively newer Mets fan, and we love him for that. He's from Amsterdam, and I know you don't mind me saying that because I know you've mentioned it here before, Stefan. The previous owners of the New York Mets, the Wilpons, would do exactly what you're saying. They would try to sugarcoat it. They would try to say, well, this guy got injured and that guy got injured and we're expecting that guy back. And we're going to definitely, be able to run it back with this group and have better results. I don't believe that would be the case with Steve Cohen as the owner and with David Stearns as the general manager. I just don't. I think that if the Mets do, in fact, blow it out and not make the postseason this year, that there will be massive changes to this team. I don't know that it's going to be crazy buku buck spending on free agents, but I do believe there will be trades. I do believe that they will move on from a lot of players that are pending free agents, i.e. Edwin Diaz, Pete Alonso, even though great season from Diaz for the most part this year, but I don't see this Mets front office and this ownership group saying, it was just a down year for a couple guys. It'll turn around next season and not make serious changes to try to fix things. So hopefully that is not the case. I hope I'm right on it, but we will see. Absolutely need to move forward and concentrate on next year with the main focus on their pitching, which is what the Mets did in the second half of this season. Yeah, so obviously we are hoping that we have at least 2 of our starters in the rotation for next year, that being Nolan McLean and Brandon Sproat. So far, so very, very good for Nolan McLean. He has a 1.19 ERA. I read a stat earlier. I believe he's the first Mets pitcher, or maybe even the first pitcher in Major League history to throw 5+ innings with 2 earned runs or less in each of his first 5 MLB starts. So Nolan McLean continues to be money. 6 innings pitched, just 5 hits, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts on 92 pitches through 6 innings. So just masterful stuff. The movement on this guy's pitches are just unbelievable. They are darting in, up, and across the zone both ways. Nolan McLean looks like he could be the future ace of this rotation. And then Sproat, how great did he look yesterday? Gives up 6 hits, but 6 scoreless innings. I believe he had 7 strikeouts as well. So really great performance from him. Obviously, things are not looking so great so far for Jonah Tong. He's only 22 years old. Definitely think he could use a little more seasoning in AAA, but that is the hope, that looking toward 2026, without getting too far ahead of ourselves, is that the Mets have at least 2 young frontline starting pitchers at the top of their rotation in Sproat and McLean, and we'll just see what happens here down the stretch now with Tong and throughout the offseason. But Military Mike says Mets win finally, but the Giants lose. Shaking my head, just happy to be a playoff team for another day. Remarkable with how bad they have been. It really is. It's crazy that they are still in the lead. Look, guys, we had a 6-game lead over the Reds after their win over them last Friday. And it has come down now to a 1.5 games, 2 after the Mets win here this afternoon, pending the results of Cincinnati's game with the Athletics. And then you have the Giants, who, everyone was just completely had forgotten about. And they have just been on a crazy winning streak. And here we are now, down to the wire here in these final 12 games. Sorry about your Giants, by the way. I was devastated because of how badly the Jets got the break speed off of them, but I saw the Giants score just keep popping up, and I'm like, wow, the Giants are going to beat the Cowboys. They are slinging it. They are putting up 34 points, and the Cowboys come back with a 62-something yard field goal to tie the game, go to overtime. And then I check later, and I see each team has had at least one possession, and it's still tied with 2 minutes left. And then right before this stream that I'm doing here with you guys, I checked the score again, and they lost on a walk-off field goal. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. Wow, that is a brutal beat, man. I am sorry, Military Mike, but just know, misery loves company. Jets fan here with you. So, Kev Chata, what's up? He says, do we still have comments here on who want to see Pete gone? I saw a lot yesterday. I mean, dude, it's not necessarily, I don't think that maybe some people want Pete gone. I don't want Pete gone. Personally, I would love to have Pete Alonso in a Mets uniform for his entire career. I am just telling you that I don't believe that he is going to be with the Mets. I think that David Stearns didn't want to sign him this offseason. I think that the Mets fan festival that they had in January, that where him and Stearns and Cohen basically got booed at their own event by Mets fans when questioned about Pete Alonso's free agency, I think they were kind of forced into a corner. And I think that is why they gave him the contract they gave him, hoping he would opt out after this year. Or if he didn't, then still a pretty good price for him for that next year opt-in. But he's probably going to opt out this year. He's going to be looking for that big contract. And I just don't see him being a part of the Mets' future. I just don't believe that Stearns wants to sign an over 30-year-old first baseman that does not bring a whole lot other than a power stick, and a power stick that is pretty inconsistent. So I don't want him gone, but I just don't see him being back. And that's just how I see the cards laid out right now. Joe, Mets will not bring Alonso or Diaz back. Well, there you go. See, Joe feels the same way. Diaz, Stefan asked, why not Diaz? And I just believe that it's possible. But the reason if I'm playing devil's advocate, if the Mets don't bring Edwin Diaz back, is we have already seen his velocity dip over the last couple of years. He is getting up there in age as well. How many more good years does he have as an effective closer? I don't know. And he is going to be seeking probably in the neighborhood, I would guess, of $28 million per season, at least for 3 more years. So I see Edwin Diaz opting out, and we'll see. I think that's a toss-up if he is back with the Mets or not. I truly do. Let's see. Mike Rhoda Penmark, LFGM. Thank you, Rhoda. LFGM for sure. Happy about it. Let's see. Kev Chata, Joe is a genius. You need a GM job now. Go look. He's also a comedian. Joe's dropped some great one-liners in this chat before. Jimmy James, what's up, man? He says, I'm a Giants fan. Watch them Mets. I watched them Mets it. Oh, Mets it. Like they Metsed it. I see what you're saying. Didn't even know the Mets were on earlier. I'm glad they salvaged half of my Sunday. Yes, me too. And like I started this stream by saying, this was gearing up and shaping up to be a horrible sports Sunday for me, between the Jets getting blown out so badly that they actually turned the game off, and then the Mets nearly blowing the game in the same fashion as they did yesterday. And fortunately, the Mets could salvage it for me as well. Guys, update. The Athletics have just taken the lead over the Reds. They are leading them 4-3 in the bottom of the 5th, a 2-out home run for them. So good news there on the scoreboard watch. Reds are losing. Last I saw, the Giants were losing 2-1 to the Dodgers. Those games still a lot of time, only 1-run games. But man, that would really, really salvage that half of my Sunday if the Reds and Giants also end up losing, as the Mets are powered by the walk-off 3-run homer from Pete Alonso here today. Guys, go ahead, leave this video a like if you've not already. Really appreciate it. Stephanie wants $100 million for 5 years. I've heard about Edwin Diaz, I'm assuming you're talking about, which would probably be kind of cheap to me based on how he's performed this year. But I would probably sign up for that $20 million per year for, elite closer. And then even if he gets moved into the back end role, like an 8th inning setup guy eventually toward the end of that contract, yeah, I would definitely be interested in doing that for Edwin Diaz if that was the case. Military Mike, thank you with the scoreboard update. Ace just took the lead 4-3. Sorry I didn't get to that first. San Fran still losing 2-1 for sure. Yeah, that would be good, Mike, if they could get that, if they could just at least get the win here today, get that hump, off the hump, or whatever, off the schneid, whatever the expression is that you want to use. The Mets finally end this just disgusting 8-game losing streak, and they do it in walk-off fashion with Pete's home run. And then if they were able to get some help out there on the West Coast from the from the Dodgers and from the Athletics, that would just be gravy here today. So happy about that. But guys, sound off in the chat. What are you thinking? they making the playoffs? I still am going to have to say no, just because we got the off day tomorrow. Then they got San Diego, who have been just so good against the Mets over the last year since that core formed up for them. And then obviously the Cubbies out at Wrigley Field, and the Cubs still gunning for that top position in the National League wild card hunt. So it's going to be tough. But I'm just happy. Like I said, it's just one win. But for today, yes, I am very happy. Stefan, you were talking about Pete Alonso, $100 million for 5 years. No, he's going to be looking for more than that. I would think. I mean, he has got I think, $28 million option for next year. So he'd be settling for long-term security and more money overall with 5 years, $100 million. That's $20 million per year, but obviously less average annual salary per year. So I could kind of see that, but I think Pete is going to be seeking somewhere in the neighborhood of $150 million, whether that's over 4 or over 5 years. I don't think he's going to settle for anything less than that. I just don't know if any team is going to be willing to do it. If they weren't willing to do it for him last year, then I don't see why now, a year older, he would do it again. Freddie Freeman at the plate, rips it down the right field line. That's into the corner. That's going to score 2. No, just 1. All right, so an RBI double for Freddie Freeman. They now lead the Dodgers 3-1, and they have second and third with nobody out. The Dodgers with that goofy ass dance that I have so many other thoughts and words I could use to describe it, but okay, anyway, those freaking Dodgers. I can't believe I have to root for the Dodgers. I hate them so much, but this weekend I'm their biggest fan. And by the way, if you guys don't remember, I mentioned this before, next weekend the Dodgers and Giants play again, only in a 4-game series at Dodger Stadium. So we are hoping that the Dodgers are going to do some bidding for us and help take care of the Giants for us. Again, I don't know if the the Dodgers will have the NL West secured by then. There will still be another week of the season left. So it's almost like you want to root for San Diego. Of course, not while they're playing the Mets here this upcoming week, but you almost want San Diego to keep gunning for the NL West with the Dodgers so that the Dodgers have to continue to play as hard as they can, put out their best arms, put out their A lineups against the Giants in that 4-game series next weekend. That is basically where we are at. We can forget about the second or the first wild card spot. We are focused solely on the final wild card spot and our chief competition, the Giants and the Reds. So in my opinion, the Mets need to be the biggest Dodger fans, and in a way, you almost have to also root for the Padres to keep the NL West as highly contested as it has been, so that the Dodgers can't just say, we're 8 games up with 3 left, or whatever, 5, you know what I mean, huge lead. We don't need to put out our best pitchers. We don't need to put out our best lineups right now. So that's exactly kind of how I'm hoping for it, with the exception of when the Mets and the Padres play this upcoming week, which is going to be a terrifying series. Red Bear Fox, Tony, use your platform to tell these people to chill out. One clutch hit doesn't estimate the weeks and weeks and weeks of unclutch Alonso has been. One win doesn't mean the season is turned around. I've definitely said it. Everyone entitled to their own opinion and feelings. I have said it. I think it's been a very front-loaded season for Pete Alonso. He has not been clutch for the past several months. The OPS, the average have dipped. The hitting with runners in scoring position has dipped pretty much all since June. It's nice that he was able to come through in the clutch here with the 3-run homer. It's nice the Mets were able to get a win here, but that's exactly what it was. It was 1 clutch hit and it was 1 win. The Mets have a ton of work to do, and Pete has a lot of work himself to do if he wants to convince me that he can still be that big clutch impact player, because he has not been for a while, and the Mets have not been a good team for a while. So 12 games left to prove me wrong on those. Military Mike, I honestly don't know anymore, only because they haven't been passed yet. I thought for sure that I'd wake up this morning they wouldn't be in a wild card spot. I was pleasantly surprised to see, as far as if Mike believes the Mets are going to make the playoffs. So he says he doesn't know, and I mean, I got to agree with you, man, because I woke up this morning. I refused to look at anything baseball yesterday. I did not scoreboard watch last night after the Mets blew their game, and I did not check the wild card standings this morning. I just happened to scroll across it on the internet today by accident. And so I saw that the Reds and that the Giants lost. The Mets just need to win games, guys. The Mets' destiny is in their own control. If the Mets continue to win games, they will make the playoffs. But if the Mets do what they've been doing for the last several months, and even more recently, this 8-game losing streak, and that is play sloppy, ugly baseball, not get good quality starting pitching, not get good relief pitching, not get enough hits or base runners on and runs across the board, it's not going to matter. They're going to lose games. So the Mets can control their own destiny at this point. They just need to win games. So Kev Chada, as a Boris client, Pete's looking for a career payday, and they were last year too. And again, I just say he's a year older, and I think a lot of people are going to say, you had a really good first 2 months, and then we can actually see all the stats pretty much from there where they kind of just went downhill. And so I don't know if he is going to get that big payday. We will see. I think he's going to be gunning for at least 140, 150, something like that. I think he'll settle for maybe 115 over 4 years or something like that. I think that seems like a very reasonable, fair offer for me. I'd probably say maybe even 5 for 115, but we'll see what Pete wants, man. We will see where Pete's heart lies. Road Penmark says Dodger celebration dance is cringy and nerdy. They should change the team's color to pink. Rhoda, I couldn't agree more. It's the worst dance of all time. You're picking up what I'm putting down when I was commenting on that stupid bass dance that they have. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Not a fan of it, but I will be for this weekend and for next weekend while they are playing the San Francisco Giants 100%. Stefan Senga will be back, I think. Yeah, so Senga is going to be back. He has another rehab minor league start that they're going to have him do at AAA. Had a really good first one, 6 innings, 1 run. I believe he gave up 3 hits. So that is obviously a good sign from Kodai Senga. But at this point, you can't trust him. You cannot trust Kodai Senga until you see him here in the big leagues again and see how he performs. It's great that he could do it down in AAA, but when he comes back up to the majors, he may very well look exactly the same and not be able to get through 4 or 5 innings and give up 4 or 5 runs. So until we see it in the big leagues, I do not have any faith or trust in Kodai Senga until proven otherwise. Kev Chada, realistically, even if the team plays better, no way do I trust Mendy to make smart decisions. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of things that Mendy doesn't get right. I said it today. Not having a pinch runner for Francisco Alvarez in the 7th inning there, which doesn't ultimately matter because the Mets don't have a run that would have potentially scored him anyway. The pitching decisions yesterday to go to Edwin Diaz for the 4-out save. Obviously, you could complain about him pulling Brandon Sproat after 6 innings, although I really don't think that affected the game. Today, though, going to Brooks Raley and then after hitting that batter to make it 1st and 2nd, despite there being 2 outs and a righty coming up, decides to go to Reed Garrett, who promptly walks the bases loaded and then has Jock Peterson up, a lefty, who gets a 2-run game-tying single. I think that was an egregious mistake by Carlos Mendoza. Go to Reed Garrett there, who has been brutal at handling inherited runners lately, especially knowing that Jock Peterson's on deck. I would have rolled the dice there, even with Brooks Raley pitching against the right-hander, that he's going to be able to get him out. And if not, well, you end up going 2-1, 3-0, 3-1, whatever. You could just give the intentional pass to that righty in front of Peterson and take your odds lefty on lefty there. So I think that was a really bad decision there by Carlos Mendoza, 100% Kev Chada. Let's see, 30 for 5 years feels like that's the least Pete takes. So $30 million annual each year, obviously you're saying. So that would be 150. I don't think he's getting 150. I just don't think he's going to get that. I think that's probably where the starting bidding is, and that's like where they're eyeballing what he would like. I don't see Pete getting 5 years at $30 million a pop. I could see 4 years at 28, 4 years at 28, somewhere around there. 100, that would put him at about 115 million or 118, somewhere around there. I just don't see him getting $150 million over a 5-year contract. I just don't think players or teams rather value him the way that they value the the modern day baseball player, the walk, home run, 3 true outcomes kind of guy. And even though he is that at times, he also is sometimes a 1 true outcome guy, and that is striking out all over the place. We know he's very good at scooping, but defensive metrics do not love him. He is not very fast. So I'm just saying how I see the modern day GM views Pete Alonso, and for those reasons, I don't see him getting that kind of contract. Road Penmark Tony, Carson Bench is hitting great in AAA. Would you promote him now? No. I mean, personally, yeah, I'd be interested in doing that as a fan. I just do not see the Mets doing that. I think it's too late now. If they were going to do it, it would have had to be like 2 weeks ago. I think to try to bring him up now, it would be exactly what the Mets tried to do with Francisco Alvarez a couple years ago back in 2022 when they brought him up in that final series down in Atlanta when the Mets were trying to hold on to the National League East. He was completely overwhelmed. It was unfair to Francisco Alvarez. Who knows what kind of ripple effects that may have had on his development as a big league player. So I don't think it would be the the right thing to put Benj into this onto this big league roster right now in the stretch run when the team is narrowly hanging on to the final wild card spot by a thread and just desperate for any type of production that they can get out of center field. I think it would be too much of a desperation move. So as much as I would love to see Carson Benj come up here soon, I don't think the Mets will do it. And honestly, the timing may not be the right timing at this moment right now, Rhoda. Absol, for a moment, this was looking, it was going to be a carbon copy of yesterday's game. And it's funny because Gary Cohen comes back, I believe, in the bottom of the 7th and says, no need to adjust your television sets. This is not a replay of Saturday's game. No, it's just felt like it because they have the 2-0 lead. You go to the 7th, they blow it with the relievers, 2 out base hits for the Rangers, and the Mets are lifeless on offense. But fortunately, my goodness, like I said, the game ball for me, I'm not giving it to Pete Alonso despite obviously, being very pleased with him hitting a 3-run homer, but it goes to Ryan Stanek for me. Shut down top of the 10th inning, despite the leadoff ghost runner at second. I think that gave just a lot of confidence to this Mets lineup that there's no way we can screw this up, right? Even though we are all thinking as fans, they definitely can find a way to screw up the leadoff runner at second with no outs, despite it being a tie game. I definitely could see this Mets team squandering that opportunity, but fortunately, they do not. So Stanek gets the game ball for me. I was going to say Abso. Jose Lopez says Stingy Stearns will benefit from this mess because it'll give him the excuse to structure the team according to his stingy image. Just the perfect storm from him. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. I think there's going to be major changes. I don't think they're going to go out, spend like drunken sailors, but a lot of money comes off the books this year. A lot of money does come off the books this year. And so the Mets have an opportunity to really reshuffle the deck here and change the core of this team. I don't know how they want to do that. I think it's going to largely depend on the outcome of this year, seeing where they go, if they make the playoffs, if they don't make the playoffs, how far they potentially go in the postseason, which I'm not thinking it's going to be very far if they even make it, but it's going to be, I think it could be a very different looking team. And I'm not saying that the Mets are going to go cheap, but they're going to have some opportunities to shake things up with the amount of money that is coming off the books at the end of this season, Jose. Military Mike, I think Pete gets worn down because he plays every day. A few days off here and there, if they bring him back, might help. Love Pete, but he definitely makes me want to pull my hair out of my head. Yeah, I could see that, man. I could see, Pete does go out there, plays every day. You love to see it. When did Pete lose his helmet on that celebration? I was too busy getting all the stuff ready here for the stream, but he's rounding third with no helmet. Did he throw it off like way super early or something? Hold on, let's go back to that because I gotta see this. I can actually okay, where did before he even got the first, did he throw it off? Oh my god, I missed that. Here it is. And I don't know if you guys heard the post-game recap or post-game interview with Steve Gelbs on the field. Pete said, I felt like I was riding a dragon or something like that. I mean, Pete is such a goober. He's our goober, but I can see why other teams and fans around the league may not like him. So whatever, we'll take it. But let's see, Military Mike. I'm sorry to get back to your comment there, Military Mike. Yes, it'd be nice if Pete would take some more off days and hey, maybe fitting him in there at DH. Unfortunately, there's really no other guy you trust to play first base well enough defensively on this roster. They've tried it with Vientos a couple times, hasn't exactly gone so well. But yeah, no, I think it would benefit Pete to sit out a few more games a season than he has done. But you also, look at him and Lindor, and you love the fact that they play every day, that they don't get hurt that often. Availability is the best ability, but sometimes it is the law of diminishing returns. Yeah, he goes out and plays every day, but would it be better if he only played 144 games, somewhere like that, and he was playing a more consistent brand that he can bring? So Jose said, or Kev Chada, reason I think Pete gets 5 years, 150 is because his production will continue as a DH. Yeah, it's possible, but I mean, 850 OPS, it's solid. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I do definitely think teams will view him as a future DH, but I don't know. There's something about him. You look at him, you look at Kyle Schwarber, and it's not really fair to compare him to Schwarber, who now has 52 home runs this year, but they're kind of the same guy, except Schwarber draws more walks and hits more home runs. So it's like, okay, well, Pete's a nice DH, but is he, $30 million a year nice of a DH? I don't know. I don't know if teams are going to view him that way. So that might benefit the Mets where they can get him back on the cheap like they did this year. So we will see. Jose says Soto will not have the great season he has had in 25 next year because Alonso won't be around to protect him in the lineup. Well, we will see, man. Who knows? Maybe the Mets are going to sign Kyle Schwarber this offseason. Maybe the Mets are going to sign Kyle Tucker. Maybe Ryan Clifford is going to come up and break Pete's rookie home run record playing first base for this team. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? And I know those are long shots, signing Schwarber or Tucker, and I know a long shot to suggest that Ryan Clifford is going to just step into becoming a perennial home run power first baseman for this team, but who freaking knows? If you go back to 2018, yeah, we'd heard a lot of great things about Pete Alonso, but we didn't know if he was going to be the home run hitter that he is. In fact, he used to go by Peter Alonso. That wasn't until that spring training in 2019 when we weren't even sure if he was going to be on the team. And Brody Van Wagenen said he's got to be on the starting roster. We're not going to play that player control manipulation game and make him wait until May. No, they brought him up on opening day, and what does he do? He hits 52 home runs, such a major league rookie record for home runs. So who's to say that Clifford or someone else doesn't come up and do that same thing for this team next year? And again, this is all just me totally, making shit up at this point, but you just never truly know. You never truly know what's going to happen, what you have in the minors, how they are going to come up and play, what the Mets are going to do in the offseason as far as the other free agents and as far as other trades. So we will see what happens. A few more here. Kev Chada, Moya Lindor took 1 year to adjust for the Mets. It's taken Soto 6 months to adjust. He's still productive. Yeah, I think that he's going to be just fine. Soto will be for sure. Let's see. Jose Perez, Pete Alonso is signing with the Phillies in the offseason. I don't see that happening. And if it does, I may have to stop watching baseball. That will actually kill me. Let's see. Stefan and Schwarber to the Mets. There you go, guys. You're on top of it. Jose says Schwarber uses an iron glove when he plays the field. Well, he doesn't play the field as a DH, but he also hits 52 home runs. And draws a ton of walks. So come on now. Now we're just parsing, mincing whatever. I don't even know, guys. I'm exhausted. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I appreciate y'all being here so much. Finally, the Mets get off the schneiding, end this 8-game losing streak. They are going to finish today in the third wildcard spot, no matter what happens, the results of the Cincinnati game and of the San Francisco game. So we will obviously be checking that throughout the rest of this evening. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to leave this video a like. Go ahead and do that right now if you have not already. Really appreciate y'all being here. If you're not already subscribed, do that as well. Daily Mets content, post-game recap after every Mets game. No game tomorrow, thank God. But Tuesday, we'll be right back with another post-game recap for Game 1 of the Mets series beginning with the San Diego Padres. But until then, guys, I'm Tony Metro. Stay true to the orange and blue.